If you woke up in London in 1348, you might not survive until the end of the week. Not because of war, not because of hunger, but because of something you cannot see, yet is spreading throughout the city. At first, you only feel tired. A mild fever, nothing too frightening. But then, your body begins to change. Pain sets in. Swollen lumps appear beneath your skin, on your neck, your armpits, your groin. They grow larger and darker. Outside, London continues as if nothing is wrong. People still trade, still move, still brush against each other in the narrow streets. No one stops. No one realizes that every touch could be a death sentence. And the most terrifying part is, you won't know when it begins. There is no warning, no cure. Only a city slowly being erased, one person at a time. Before the plague arrived, London in the mid-14th century was already one of the largest and busiest cities in England. Its population was estimated to be in the tens of thousands, a massive number for that time, crowded into a confined space surrounded by city walls. Inside, everything seemed to be in constant motion. Merchants, craftsmen, laborers, and travelers from nearby regions flowing in every day. The streets were narrow and winding, leaving almost no open space. Houses were built tightly together, many made of wood, with upper floors jutting out so far that they nearly touched across the street, blocking sunlight from reaching the ground. On damp days, the air grew thick, heavy, and hard to breathe. As you walk through these streets, one thing quickly becomes clear. Everything is extremely close together. People, animals, and waste, all coexisting in a cramped environment. Household waste was often thrown directly into the streets or into open drains. When it rained, everything mixed into a dark stream of mud flowing through the roads. When it was dry, the stench became overwhelming. The River Thames, the city's main water sources, served both as a supply of water and a dumping ground. You could draw water from it to drink, and also see all kinds of garbage, animal carcasses, and even human waste floating on the surface. But to the people of London at the time, this was normal. No one thought much of it. Life went on. Markets were held every day. Goods were transported by carts or boats. People traded, worked, and labored from morning until night. Children played in the streets, weaving between adults and livestock. Church bells rang out, marking the passage of time in a city that was never truly quiet. You might think this place was used to hardship, and it was. London had endured famine, war, and disease before. But there was one thing this city had never faced, something that wouldn't just kill individuals, but could break the entire city. Imagine living in London in 1348. You wake up in a cramped wooden house where many people share a small space. The air inside is damp and heavy with smells, the scent of sweat, rotting wood, and things that have no way to escape. You open the door, and the smell from outside rushes in, even worse. You step into the street. Beneath your feet is a thick, slippery layer of dark mud. But it's not just mud. It's a mixture of waste, human excrement, animal droppings, and dirty water that is built up over days. Every step requires care, not to avoid falling, but to avoid touching something you'd rather not think about. The street is narrow, crowded, and constantly noisy. You hear vendors shouting, the clanging of metal from workshops, the grinding of wheels against the road, and animals pushing through the crowd. Everything blends into a chaotic sound that you've grown used to. A rat runs past your feet. You flinch for a moment, then keep walking. Here, it's normal. Rats are everywhere. In homes, in the streets, in the markets. No one really cares. You pass through a market. Butchers hang untreated slabs of meat, covered in flies. Fish lie on damp wooden tables, giving off a strong, unpleasant smell. Vegetables are coated in dust. Yet people still buy, still eat, still live like this every day. You feel hungry. You buy a piece of hard bread, perhaps baked the day before or even earlier. You're not sure, but you eat it anyway. There aren't many choices. Drinking water? You take it from the river. It's murky and smells strange, but it's what everyone uses. You look down at the water and see garbage, animal carcasses, and other things floating by. You know it, but you drink it anyway. Life goes on like this, day after day. No one stops to think that something might be wrong. No one considers that the way they are living could be the problem. You touch a door. You shake a stranger's hand. You move through the crowd. You sit down and eat with others. Everything is normal. Until you begin to hear whispers. Some speak of a strange illness near the docks. Others mention people suddenly falling sick for no clear reason. But no one is truly worried yet. London is used to disease. But this time, something is different. You haven't seen it yet, but you can feel it. Something is creeping into the city. Silent, slow, and unstoppable. At first, everything is just scattered stories. In areas near the docks, people begin talking about strangers arriving with goods from distant lands, and then falling ill. No one is sure what is happening. London has always had disease, but this time, the speed is different. You start hearing the same descriptions repeated in many places. A sudden fever, the body weakening within just a few days. Then painful swellings appear beneath the skin on the neck, in the armpits, in the groin. They grow larger, turning darker, almost black. Someone may be alive in the morning, but dead before nightfall. The first houses are sealed. Doors are shut tight. Those inside are not allowed to leave. But it doesn't make you feel safe. It only makes you realize that something is slipping beyond control. You begin to pay closer attention. A neighbor disappears. A familiar stall no longer opens. Faces you used to see every day slowly stop appearing. But life hasn't stopped yet. Markets still gather. People still move about. You still have to go outside. Still have to touch things. Doors, money, goods, other people. No one knows exactly how the disease spreads, and because of that, no one truly knows how to avoid it. You hear different explanations. Some say the air is poisoned. Others believe it is God's punishment. Some think it came from distant lands, but no one has the answer. And while people argue, the number of dead keeps rising. Slow at first, then faster, and then beyond counting. You begin to understand this is no ordinary disease. This is something that can change everything. Within just a few weeks, everything begins to slip out of control. At first, you can still convince yourself that it's just a more severe outbreak than usual. But then, the signs become impossible to ignore. The number of dead rises day by day. It's no longer confined to a few neighborhoods near the docks. The disease has spread across the entire city. You step outside and notice the change immediately. Streets that were once crowded now feel unfamiliar. There are still people, but fewer. And they move faster, speak less. Their expressions have changed, watchful, fearful, always looking around as if searching for something. Some houses are completely sealed, doors locked from the outside. A simple sign, but enough for everyone to know that someone inside is sick. No one wants to go near. No one wants to touch that door. But you can't avoid everything. You still have to walk those streets, still have to breathe the same air. And now, the smell is different. Not just the familiar stench of waste, but the smell of something decaying. At first, you don't recognize it. But then, you begin to see the carts moving slowly through the streets. They carry no goods, only bodies hastily covered with cloth, or sometimes not covered at all. Funerals are no longer held as they once were. There isn't enough time, not enough people. Death comes too quickly, in too great numbers. You hear church bells ringing constantly, no longer marking events, but becoming the rhythm of the city itself. Each toll, another life lost. Then 2, then 10, then hundreds. You begin to witness scenes you never imagined. Someone collapses in the street. No one approaches. No one helps. People only look, then move away. Because any contact could cost a life. You ask yourself, if that were you, would anyone stop? You already know the answer. Markets grow emptier. Some stalls disappear entirely. Those who remain try to carry on, but everyone understands that things are changing. They speak less. They avoid touching others. But in a city like London, that is almost impossible. Rats still run everywhere. In fact, there seem to be more than before. You don't know why, but you start noticing them more. They appear in homes, beneath floors, in markets, in the streets. And every time you see one, something feels wrong. No one says it, but everyone feels it. Some people begin to leave the city. Those with money and means try to escape as quickly as possible. They take their families, their belongings, and the hope that distance might save them. But not everyone has that choice. Most people stay, and so do you. You try to change your habits. You avoid crowds. You wash your hands even though you're not sure it helps. You limit contact with others. You watch your body every day, searching for any sign. A slight ache, a sudden fatigue. You begin to worry. You see people burning herbs in the streets, believing the smoke will drive away the disease. Some carry charms, pray constantly, or join groups that whip themselves in acts of atonement. Everyone has their own way, but no one is truly in control. And then, you realize the most terrifying truth. No matter where you are, no matter what you do, this disease is still getting closer. Not fast, not loud, but certain. And this time, you no longer believe you can escape it. And then there comes a moment when London no longer functions as a city. Things don't just get worse, they collapse completely. You no longer need rumors. You no longer need to guess. Just step outside and you will see. Death is no longer hidden behind sealed doors. It is out in the streets. Bodies lie motionless at street corners, in front of houses, in the middle of the road. Some are hastily covered with cloth. Many are left exposed. You try not to look, but you can't, because they are everywhere. The corpse carts are no longer enough. At first, they passed by a few times a day. Now, they are constant. The sound of wheels rolling over the streets becomes something familiar, something you cannot forget. And even that is not enough. People begin digging mass graves. No individual burials, no ceremonies, no time to say goodbye. Bodies are brought in, stacked on top of one another, then quickly covered with earth. You stand at a distance and watch. Not one person, not 10, but hundreds. And tomorrow, there will be more. No one is in control anymore. Authority has almost vanished from your sight. The rules that once existed, order, law, the way of life, are slowly becoming meaningless. Doctors? Almost gone. Those who remain can do nothing but try desperate methods, bloodletting, herbal remedies, burning incense, but nothing works. You begin to understand a terrifying truth. No one is coming to save you. You look at the people around you, your family, your neighbors, the familiar faces you once knew, and you begin to see them differently. They are no longer just people you recognize, but people who could die at any moment. Or worse, who might already carry the disease without knowing it. You avoid contact, you keep your distance. You watch every movement, every small sign, a cough, a moment of fatigue, a strange expression. Everything becomes a signal. You begin to live in a constant state of alertness, not because you want to, but because you have no choice. You sleep less, you eat less, you think more. And then you hear it. The church bells. No longer marking time, no longer part of ritual, but ringing whenever someone dies. You hear them in the morning, at noon, in the night. They never stop. You stop counting, because if you try, you'll realize the number has gone beyond imagination. This city, once crowded, noisy, full of life, has become something distorted. Part of it still moves, part of it is already dead, and the line between the two grows thinner every day. You walk through a street you once knew well, but now it is no longer the same. Fewer people, less sound, and more empty space. Houses sealed shut, doors that will never open again. Entire areas where you know no one is left alive. You ask yourself, how many are left? No one has the answer. And then you begin to think about yourself. You touch your neck. You check your body every day. You listen for the smallest change. A slight pain, is enough to make your heart race. You know what will happen if it begins. You've seen it too many times. First, the fever, then the pain, then the swellings, and after that, nothing. You don't know how much time you have left. You don't know if you're already infected. You only know one thing. You are living in a city where death has become normal. And the most terrifying part is not that you might die. It's that no one is surprised anymore when it happens. As death becomes something familiar, people begin to change. They no longer react in normal ways. The old order begins to disappear. Everyone chooses their own way to survive. You see the wealthy leaving London as quickly as they can. Carriages filled with luggage, families, and possessions. They depart in silence, without looking back. To them, this city is no longer worth staying in. But most people don't have that choice. They stay and wait. Some turn to religion. You see groups gathering in the streets, kneeling, praying, weeping. Others walk in processions, whipping themselves, as they go believing that pain might earn forgiveness, might help them survive. Others lose faith completely. You see them drinking more, acting recklessly, living as if tomorrow does not exist. If death is unavoidable, then why fear it? And then there are those who become silent. They shut their doors, stay inside, avoid all contact. They don't speak, don't go out, don't trust anyone. Even family becomes a potential threat. You begin to see people differently, no longer as friends, no longer as neighbors, but as risks. A handshake, a simple touch, could be the end of everything. You avoid eye contact. You keep your distance. You think carefully before every small action. Should you get closer? Should you speak? Should you touch this? And then you realize you have changed too. You are no longer the same person you once were. You live in fear, but not a loud, overwhelming fear. It's a quiet fear, always there, always with you. And the most terrifying part is, you begin to get used to it. Then, after many months, something strange begins to happen. Not because people have found a cure, not because the disease has completely disappeared, but because there are fewer people left to infect. The number of cases slowly declines. Church bells ring less often. The corpse carts appear more rarely. And for the first time in a long while, you begin to notice the silence. But it isn't peace, it's emptiness. You step outside and realize the city has completely changed. Streets that were once crowded now feel deserted. Many houses stand abandoned, their doors shut, with no one ever returning. There are entire areas where you know whole families once lived and are now gone. London is still there, but it is no longer the same. The sharp drop in population turns everything upside down. Work becomes scarce, not because there are no jobs, but because there are not enough people to do them. Those who survive, people like you, suddenly become more valuable. Wages rise, social roles begin to shift. But no one truly feels victorious, because every street, every corner, reminds you of what happened. You cannot forget the corpse carts, the mass graves, the faces that disappeared. The city may recover, but the memory never will. If you had truly lived in London in 1348, would you have survived? Not because of strength, not because of intelligence, because at that time, almost no one understood what was killing them. You could do everything right, avoid the crowds, stay inside, be careful with every action. But just one small, momentous single touch, a breath, a rat running past your feet, could be the beginning of your end. And the most terrifying part is, you wouldn't know when it begins. No clear warning, no second chance. Only a city where death comes silently, slowly, and inevitably. London survived, but tens of thousands did not. And if you had been there, you likely would have been one of them.